Welcome to the Township Council, Monday, April 27, 2020. Mrs. Kraus, I'm sorry. Mayor, can you please lead us in a salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this moment, can everyone rise, please, for a moment of silence for Ron Cadero? You may be seated. Thank you. Mrs. Kraus, please read the statement of public notice.
Take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with NJSA 10:4-8 and NJSA 10:4-10 as follows. The notice of the meeting was prominently posted on the bulletin board at the municipal building located at 225 Main Street, Little Falls, New Jersey on January 9, 2020. A copy of the notice was mailed to the North Jersey Herald and News and Record on the same date. Additionally, a copy of the notice was filed in the office of the Township Clerk on said date. This meeting is being conducted under the circumstances surrounding the COVID-19 health situation. No public will be allowed to attend the meeting in person. A YouTube link to view this meeting can be accessed on the Township website at www.lfnj.com. Electronic provisions have been established for the public to participate during the public comment portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Mrs. Kraus, at this time, call the roll.
Councilmember Cordner? Present. Councilmember Kawadi?
Present.
Councilmember Seaver? Present. Councilmember Vanchery?
Present.
Council President Scoba?
Present. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for meetings March 23rd, 2020 and April 13, 2020?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Cordner.
Second.
Second by Councilman Vanchery. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordner? Yes. Councilmember Kawadi?
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver? Yes. Councilmember Vanchery?
Yes.
Council President Scoba?
Yes. Councilman Kawadi?
Thank you, Council President. So the Domestic Violence Prevention Committee has continued to educate and inform the public through Facebook and email blasts. And we just want to let people know that if you are out there and you need assistance, that we're providing information on how you can get assistance. And of course, in an emergency, you should always call 911. But you are not alone in dealing with this crisis. And so we're just encouraging anybody who thinks they may need help to reach out for it. From a green perspective, we're addressing some of the spots in town, the community common places where people litter. Of course, the best way to eliminate litter is for people not to be inconsiderate with their waste in the first place. But I think over the next couple of weeks, you'll start noticing that the town is looking cleaner. On that note, the DPW is asking people not to flush the so-called flushable wipes because they're causing an issue in our systems. And so Mr. Simone has said that flushable wipes are not really flushable. And so we're going to ask people to refrain from flushing those. Today marked the second funeral that we attended for a member of the Little Falls Fire Department in as many weeks. And while it was inspiring to see the turnout today for Ronnie Cadero and last week for Mike Burt, it's quite sad that they were necessary. And so once again, I offer my condolences to the members of the fire department, as well as Ronnie's co-workers at Town Hall and his friends and family. He will certainly be missed. On a more positive note, it's been inspiring to see so many people and entities in this crisis, which is characterized by isolation, coming together to help others. I know Kevin Barry and Michael Harris have delivered face shields to several hospitals in New York that were made by the Ovadia family, who also built and donated several thousand to New Jersey hospitals as well. Steve Baskinger also volunteered to make deliveries of those masks. The Little Falls Fire Department made a donation to the New Jersey Firemen's Home, which had several patients succumb to COVID-19. The home was running desperately low on PPE, and Chief Swayze gathered what the Little Falls Fire Department could spare, and with Ronnie Snell, delivered those materials to the home this week. We learned about the shortage because of a Facebook post by Congresswoman Sherrill. One of our residents, Lauren Verdi, started the Front Porch Project in Little Falls and took photos of residents at their request, and while maintaining a safe distance and charging a $20 fee, she partnered with local restaurants Casa Arturo, Paul's Kitchen, The Creamery, and Taco Fair, and used all of the money she collected to buy meals for healthcare workers as well as school employees who are still working. She donated gift cards from ShopRite to families in need. So I'm sure there are many more stories like these. These are the ones that I became aware of, and it's just a brief insight into how people of Little Falls have come together to help others, and that's what our community should be about. So I applaud those people in their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Quaddy, for a very thorough report. Councilman Vanchery.
Thanks, Council President. First and foremost, I want to express, my sympathies to the Cordero family on the passing of Ronnie. Today, we attended his services. Ronnie was a staple in the community, not only with the fire department, but also, working at Town Hall. So he's going to be greatly missed. And again, thoughts are with his family as well as the members of the fire department. And as Councilman Quaddy reiterated as well, a little over a week ago, we said goodbye to Mike Burke. So it's been a tough time in Little Falls, and I hope that everyone continues to stay safe, practicing social distancing, and, as things start to change, as you heard the governor today, hopefully we'll have a plan about reopening the state at some point. But for now, just keep practicing social distance. A few updates on my end. I had mentioned last time about the upcoming Memorial Day parade and activities that weekend. Obviously, in light of the current environment, we have postponed the activities that were going to take place on Friday night as well as the parade on Saturday. I am still working with the veterans to determine if we can do the memorial service like we normally do, but obviously a little different in light of the current environment. See if we can host something via social media. A lot of times you can do a Facebook Live, potentially through the
has joined the conference.
I'm sorry, Councilman. Go ahead.
Okay. Through the American Legion Facebook page. I'm working with Herb Brickta to see what we can pull together to at least honor, the men and women who died giving their life, as Memorial Day is always celebrated. So I'll keep you posted on that. The other thing that myself, Mayor Damiano, as well as Council President Scoba are planning to do is meet with the Recreation Department as well as members of the Little Falls Athletic Club as we start to transition the sports through our website for registration. We're going to sit down with them to go through some of the fall activities, including soccer, as well as track and field and tennis. In light of the current environment, we'll probably have the same approach as summer camp, where we may just open up registration to have people sign up, but not process any payments at this point because we're not sure of seasons taking place. But I know the LFAC is trying to determine what's going to happen with softball, baseball, tennis, and track and field in the springtime. So we're mindful of that as well. And just as Councilman Kawadi touched on a few minutes ago, there's a lot of great things that are taking place in town by so many different residents who are volunteering their time to help others, whether it's shopping for some seniors, cooking meals for them. As Councilman Quaddy reiterated too, with Lauren Verdi coming to the house to take photos. I did mine this past weekend. Also, my neighbor Gina Testa has made a number of different masks for people who are looking forward to getting free, especially for kids. So it's nice to see all these stories, and I hope that people will continue to help out their neighbors as much as they can. And as I said at the beginning of this, continue to practice social distancing, and please stay safe, everyone. That's it for me, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Vanchery, on that report. Before we continue, Chief Post, did you join us? Didn't someone join us?
Or maybe it's-
Yes, Council President, I join.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Kraus, please note the record that Chief Post, Councilor Wenzel, and Mr. Wilcott is also attending this meeting.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Councilmember Coordinator?
Yes, thank you, Council President. So I echo the sentiments of Councilman Kawadi and Van Cherry, and words really fail me at the loss of Ronnie Cadero and, of course, Mike Burke. And my condolences go out to Ronnie's family and friends. And it's even hard to talk about losing two of these dedicated firefighters to dedicated individuals in our community within 2 weeks' time. So very, very sad. And again, my condolences go out to their family. And I also echo Councilman Kawadi and Van Cherry about the unbelievable volunteerism and support from residents in Little Falls and businesses to help during this time of need. And the way people are thinking outside of the box of new ways to help is really tremendous. And it really helps to lift people's spirits. To add to that, the list of organizations, Little Falls Business Association has donated several meals to the resident doctors working around the clock at St. Joe's, as well as to the testing centers in Passaic. And there are other, many other organizations that are really stepping up, and that's wonderful. And as the governor always says, and our mayor, we can get through this when we get through this together. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Coordinator, for your remarks. Yes, words can't express it. Councilmember Sieber?
Thank you, Council President. Yes, again, would also want to express my condolences to the family and friends on the passing of Ronnie Cordero, and also that of Mike Burke. Really some sad times in our town, but again, I know that's when we all pull together and we'll persevere. So, turning on that, I did want to make note that I do hope that people do subscribe on Instagram and Facebook to the Little Falls Public Library. They have been streaming some events and book readings, so do encourage everybody to please subscribe on those social media platforms. In addition, we are still currently working towards our Little Falls Farmers Market at this point. And again, we do have a start target date on Sunday, May 31st, going every Sunday until October 18th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, we know food is essential. We have farmers that are growing food specifically for this market. It is crucial that we're supporting our small businesses and keeping them in business as well as feeding our community. We will be, due to COVID-19, the market will practice social media and safety guidelines as per the governor at that time of the start of the market. Any adjustments in date, we will keep everybody posted, but we're looking forward to continue to market this. And again, if there is any businesses out there that would like to partake, they can feel free to reach out to me on my town email. That is it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you mention where the farmers market will be taking place?
Thank you. The farmers market will be set up in the parking lot of the municipal building at Town Hall. And again, reiterate that social distancing and all the guidelines at that point stated by the governor will be followed.
Thank you for that report. So we hope soon that we can get back to the way the council meetings were being held, with the public attending and the council members sitting at the dais, joining the mayor and Mr. Kusia and Mrs. Kraus and Councilor Wenzel and Chief Post. I think there were some encouraging words today from our governor. We hope soon that we can get back to having the public at our meetings. But in the interim, you are welcome to send in your email comments and questions as was posted. Before I we go into the mayor's report, I do want to say my condolences to the Cordero family. It hurts a little bit deeper when it's one of our own residents, and it definitely hurts a lot more when it's a volunteer fireman who take a pledge to put their life on the line for others. So that emotional pain is a little bit deeper. Mayor Damiano?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I have a couple of updates. My first will be in relation to the COVID-19 virus, and as of yesterday at 6 p.m., today's numbers will be forthcoming shortly and posted on the website, but as of yesterday at 6 p.m., there were 4 more cases yesterday, which brought us to a total of 115 total cases. The reason that total number continues to change and fluctuate despite a number of cases being added each day is because although sometimes there are cases added, as the health department does their follow-up, there are sometimes cases that are removed, such as recently there were actually 3 cases removed in one single day and 4 added. So the total net delta that day was only 1 additional positive case here in Little Falls. That said, please, I encourage everyone to continue to visit lfnj.com for updates. I know the group that is able to watch this streaming on YouTube is probably the wrong group that this information needs to be preached to, because you are the technologically savvy group that knows how to visit the website and get to these links. But anyone that may ask you or anyone that you know where they can get their information, please direct them to the Township website or to my or the council members' email addresses, and we will do what we can to get an answer as soon as possible if the information is not posted. That said, there are little additional actual updates as far as executive orders and things of the like since our last council meeting, but I'm sure everybody has continued to watch the daily updates on the news and has a good understanding of where we are. As everybody has indicated, we just need to encourage everyone to continue practicing their social distancing so that we can get back to not social distancing sooner rather than later. That said, as everybody has heard, today was the funeral for Ronnie Cordero, and Ronnie was an incredible asset to this community. Ronnie passed away on Wednesday, April 22nd at the age of 61. He was a devoted husband to Jean Cordero and a loving father of Ronnie Cordero II and Carla Cordero. He was born in Jersey City. Ronnie was a longtime resident of Little Falls who dedicated much of his life to the town that he lived in. A former United States Marine, Ronnie joined the Little Falls Fire Department in 1980. As a member of Engine Company No. 2, he transferred to the Eagle Hose Company No. 1 in 1982, where he was still an active member. He was Assistant Chief for Eagle Hose Company No. 1 from 2007 through 2019. Ronnie was voted Firefighter of the Year by the Passaic Valley Elks Lodge in 2018. Ronnie began working for the Township of Little Falls part-time in 1986 and later became a full-time employee in 1998. He was the town's zoning and housing inspector from 2002 until the present day. Ronnie's presence will greatly be missed, not only by his family, but by the Township of Little Falls. And our thoughts and prayers are certainly with the entire Cordero family at this time. Next, on a little bit of a lighter note, we do have a bit of an update for our library. We have a new member of the library board that I am nominating this evening and seeking the council's approval for the term that begins, or I should say expires, 5/31/2025. It is a 5-year term, and it is Adam Zerberg, who I would like to nominate for the council's consideration, who I ask for their consent and approval to appoint to the library board, which I will do momentarily. Finally, before we get to the vote of the council for Mr. Zerberg on the library board, I do have a proclamation to read, and that is because we have a resident who is turning 100 years old on April 30th in just a couple of days. So we have a proclamation for that resident, and her name is Mary Riker, and she has been a resident of Little Falls for a number of years now, and we wish her absolutely all the best health and everything good coming to her. And whereas Mary Riker was born in Clifton, New Jersey on April 30th, 1920, and has been a resident of Little Falls since 1995. And whereas Mary has been active in the Little Falls Jolly Seniors, the Little Falls chapter of the Eastern Star and the Little Falls United Methodist Church, where she taught Sunday school for many years. And whereas Mary has always had a passion for teaching young children to read and instill in them a love for reading. And whereas Mary donated the statue Bookworms on a Bench to the Little Falls Public Library in March of 2008. And whereas Mary Riker will be celebrating her 100th birthday on April 30th, 2020. Now therefore, I, James Belford Damiano, Mayor of the Township of Little Falls, New Jersey, do hereby recognize and celebrate Mary Riker on her 100th birthday and declare April 30th, 2020 as Mary Riker Day in the Township of Little Falls. Again, Ms. Riker, we wish you absolutely nothing but health and happiness on your 100th birthday and all days into the future. And we know these are difficult times and you may be unable to celebrate in the most conventional way, but we certainly are wishing you the happiest of birthdays this upcoming April 30th. So happy birthday. That is all that I have, Council President, and I would just ask for your and the council's support in the appointment of Adam Zerberg to the Library Board in Little Falls.
Does the council members have any comments or any concerns with the appointment of Mr. Zerberg to the Library Board for a 5-year term? All good? Council, you there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So getting just back to Mrs. Riker, it's pretty encouraging that the mayor names a day after someone who hits 100. I think that gives me some oomph to maybe start exercising. That's a nice thing to have, right? A day that's granted to an individual. That's great, Mayor. Can I have a motion to open to public hearing on the 2020 municipal budget?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Vanchery, second by Councilmember Coordinator. All those in favor for opening the hearing on the 2020 municipal budget signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed signify by saying nay. At this time, we'll take a 10-minute recess so that the residents can email in their comments or concerns concerning just the 2020 municipal budget. We'll recess now. What time is it, Mr. Vanchery, Councilman Vanchery? Someone, is it?
7:22, Council President.
7:22. We're going to take a recess for 10 minutes. Thank you. Your patience during our 10-minute recess to get email questions or comments concerning the budget. Mrs. Kraus, do we have any emails for the budget, the 2020 municipal budget?
No, not for the budget.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve Resolution A at this time?
Close the public hearing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Coordinator, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Vanchery. This is to close to the public hearing on the 2020 municipal budget. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. At this time, can I have a motion to approve the Resolution A at this time?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Coordinator,
Second.
second by Councilmember Kawadi. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll for Resolution A.
Councilmember Coordinator?
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi?
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery?
Yes.
Council President Scoba?
Yes. Motion carries. Mrs. Kraus, can you please read ordinance 1382?
Second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 1382, an ordinance entitled Calendar Year 2020 Ordinance to Exceed
Left the conference.
I'm sorry.
municipal budget cost of living, the municipal budget cost of living allowance and to establish a cap bank.
Can I have a motion to open to the public hearing on ordinance 1382?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Seaver, second by Councilmember Coordinator. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Mrs. Kraus, are there any emails received concerning ordinance 1382?
Yes, we did receive one email.
Can you please, who has that, the mayor?
The mayor has that.
Mayor, can you read answer that?
Yes, Council President, Ms. Kraus forwarded me the email from Luis Fernandez at 54 Harrison Street. The question is, explain ordinance 1382, increase in spending, question mark, more taxes, question mark. In this hard economic times, when a record number of people lose their jobs and file for unemployment week after week, you want to increase their taxes, question mark. That was the first question. In response to that question, Council President, if I may, the ordinance 1382 has absolutely nothing to do with an increase in taxes. It is the calendar year 2020 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank pursuant to NJSA 40A 445.14. This is an ordinance that is passed every single year by this council long prior to this administration. It is just an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits. This simply sets the cap limit. This does not in any way increase taxes, and the 0% tax increase that was proposed initially during my budget presentation in February, and then again to this council in March and up for adoption today, it does not modify the 0% tax increase that was proposed in the local municipal budget. Again, it only sets the cap limit. So that is the answer to the question with respect to ordinance 1382. And there was a second question, Council President, that I could read now,
Is this
or
for 1382, Mayor?
it is not, Council
Okay, so
President.
let's just hold off on that then.
Very well.
But just getting back to 1382, when the resident reads the ordinance 1382, and it does say, whereas the Township Council hereby determines that a 1% increase in the budget for the said year amounted to $134,000 in excess of the increase in the final appropriation. So you could see probably where the resident gets a little confused when they read that, when they see the word increase. But as the mayor explained, there is no increase. Okay, can I have a motion and can I have a motion to close, where am I? I'm sorry, bear with me one second. Motion to hearing, have a motion to close the public hearing on 1382.
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Coordinator, second by Councilmember Kawadi. All those in favor of closing to the public for ordinance 1382 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1382?
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Coordinator,
Second.
second by Councilmember Kawadi. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll for 1382.
Councilmember Coordinator?
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi?
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery?
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes. Councilor Wenzel, how are you? Do you have a report for us?
Council President, thank you. No, I do not have a report, although I do want to also express my sorrow on the loss of Ronnie Cordero. I only briefly had the opportunity to interact with him in the past, but anytime we lose a member of the Little Falls family, as you expressed, Council President, it does hit us a little harder. So I want to thank you for and the council for expressing that, and for all the hard work that I know that everyone at Town Hall is doing, despite the fact that it's under these conditions.
Thank you, Councilor. Have a motion to open the meeting to the public for all matters.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Coordinator, second by Councilman Kawadi. All those in favor to open the public for all public matters, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. This motion carries. Mrs. Kraus, please read the public comment.
Anyone wishing to address the Township Council may do so by sending an email to ckraus@lfnj.com. The email must provide your name and address for the record. At this time, there will be a 10-minute recess, which will allow the public to send comments and questions via email. At the end of the recess, the meeting will reconvene and all proper emails will be read into the record. The Council President will determine if a response is needed, and if so, shall direct said response. Once the process is complete, we will return to the regular order of business.
Before we take a recess, I think the mayor does have a question. Is that public matters, Mayor?
It is.
Go ahead. Why don't you address it at this point?
Sure, we can address that one now. The second question is, up until a day ago, the bids posted, and again, this is from Mr. Fernandez at 54 Harrison Street. The question is, up until a day ago, the bids posted in the town's website for the construction of pickleball had a much lower dollar amount. What's going on?
Okay.
And would you like me to address that
Yes,
now?
address that because we did do a little revision to that. The numbers didn't change, but the format changed. Go ahead, Mayor.
Sure. So the bid amount and the amount to be awarded at this meeting was listed at $487,500 as the amount of the bid. That number did remain consistent in the original draft that was sent out to everyone. It was an error in the form that was emailed out to everyone in the email blast. The figures for the bid amounts as they were opened were just listed incorrectly on the top of the page. However, the bid amount does not change. The public will note that a follow-up email was sent out to everyone who received the original email blast regarding with the entire agenda, and it indicated that there were 5 bids returned and opened. There were 5 bids, one from excuse me on the names, Halicon for $487,500, one from Alimi Builders for $460,340, one from Thomas & Sons for $529,369, one from V&K Construction, the bid was $493,000, and one from Zenith Construction, the bid was $591,184. Through those numbers and through that review, you'll note that the lowest bidder was rejected for legal reasons, failing to check a couple of necessary boxes in the return, and the second lowest bidder, Halcon, was the one that was being proposed for this council to, by way of this award tonight.
Councilor Wenzel, you reviewed all that, correct?
Yes, Council President, I had the opportunity to review it as well as the Township engineer, Mr. Lamanowitz. As the mayor indicated, there were issues with the first, the low bidder, which made him not a responsible bidder as required under the statute.
and the council is required to issue the award not only to the lowest bidder, but to the lowest responsible bidder, and that's the basis for the award.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Does the council have any comments or questions concerning Mr. Fernandez's question? Okay, at this time, it is 7:42. We will take a 10-minute break, right? That's what my clock here says. We'll take a 10-minute break and return in 10 minutes to answer any emails, questions, or comments for public matters. Thank you. Everyone again for your patience for the 10-minute recess, waiting for any email comments or questions regarding public matters. At this time, for public matters, at this time, Mrs. Kraus, do we have any emails concerning public matters?
We did receive one email.
Okay. Is that forwarded to the mayor?
Yes.
Mayor, can you please address that email that was forwarded to you?
Yes, Council President, the one email I received is from Peggy Alivi at 181 Long Hill Road. It says, "To the mayor, town council, administrators, town police, fire department, DPW. Thank you for your dedication to your jobs on behalf of all of Little Falls residents. We look to you for guidance and safekeeping. Much appreciated and will not be forgotten."
Thank you, Peggy, for that comment. Quite nice of you to write that to us, and that certainly is correct. There are no more Mrs. Kraus emails.
No, there were no more.
Can I have a motion to close the public, to the public for public comments?
So moved.
Moved by Council Member Coordinator, second by Council Member Kawadi. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. At this time, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Council Member Coordinator. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll for the consent agenda.
Councilmember Coordinator?
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi?
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery?
Yeah.
Council President Scoba?
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Kraus. Mrs. Kraus, please read ordinance 1381.
Adoption of ordinance number 1381, an ordinance entitled Refunding Bond Ordinance Providing for the Funding of a $750,876 emergency temporary appropriation for tax appeals in by and for the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $790,000 of bonds or notes to finance such emergency temporary appropriation.
Does the council have any questions or comments regarding the ordinance 1381? Have a motion to adopt ordinance 1381.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Coordinator,
Second.
second by Councilman Vanchery. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll for ordinance 1381.
Councilmember Coordinator?
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi?
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery?
Yeah.
Council President Scoba?
Yes. Have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Coordinator, second by Councilmember Sieber. All those in favor of adjourning this meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. This meeting is now closed.